only a handful.
Welcome back, everyone. We are talking about transportation in Nashville. We have with us Mary Beth Eichert, Transportation and Sustainability Manager in the city right now. And let's go to the phones. Jay. Hello, Jay.
Good evening. Thanks for taking my call, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I live in Spring Hill. Of course, Spring Hill, you know, is booming. It's growing right into Franklin. Franklin's growing right into Nashville. I know, thank goodness, you know, they fixed 65 and made it a little wider, but I would love to have a train system from, you know, Spring Hill to downtown Nashville, you know, to sporting events and all that. I think that'd be cool. And also, do you think Nashville, my aunt recently moved from Green Hills to downtown Nashville. She got a condo downtown, which is unbelievable. But do you see Nashville just going up, and more condos? And I'll hang up and listen. Thanks.
So a couple questions there. What about that second one?
Yeah. Well, the housing stock that is really coming up in the areas like the Gulch and Midtown and downtown, yeah, that a lot of older adults, the boomer population is, you know, they're downsizing their homes. They don't want the big lot. They don't want the 5 bedrooms anymore. They're coming into the city. They want access to the restaurants and the symphony and, you know, live a more urban, you know, fun lifestyle. And then also young professionals, millennials, you know, they simply have a preference of not, you know, having a long commute, not having to drive as much, and so they're looking for a housing supply that's not necessarily the single family in suburbia, you know, with the yard to maintain and that sort of thing. And so when you do build up like that and concentrate development to where it's really dense, you know, moving everybody around that's living in that type of housing product by car is, you know, not necessarily feasible. And so putting a transit service down, you know, having the bike share, having the bike lanes for the bike share, and adequate sidewalks so that people can, you know, walk from their apartment to the local bar or whatever it is safely, is a necessity. So Nashville is starting to do that. There's a lot of that contained in Nashville Next. A lot of that's reflected. The other question about mobility from Spring Hill, I think Spring Hill did just join the Metropolitan Planning Organization, which, as I mentioned, is the Regional Transportation Planning Authority for Greater Nashville, so that sort of urbanized area. And that's sort of with the intention of recognizing that commuter shed and where all that's happening. Almost half of the population in Middle Tennessee lives in a different county than they work. So people are moving by car all over the place, Spring Hill included. There is plans, as I mentioned, for that rapid transit between Nashville and Franklin. I'm not sure where the terminus of that would be. You can probably look on the MPO's website and see if they've done any initial studies on that. There might be a study between Nashville and Franklin forthcoming. However, suburban circulator service of transit that would connect you with your main transit line, even if you were to pick up a BRT or a light rail in Franklin to come into Nashville, that would be part of that program.
So for somebody, okay, so Jay would like, you know, in Spring Hill, yeah, that area is booming. It's more likely we're going to have some sort of bus rapid transit back and forth before there's some train. Is that a fair statement? Well,
I mean, it depends on what the technical studies produce. So, and also what the community says they would like to see and they're willing to pay for. There is a significant price difference between a bus rapid transit product and a light rail product. That's sort of how, you know, partially how the East-West Connector AMP project ended up moving from a rail streetcar type of product to a bus type of product, was to really put that funding package together in a way that was feasible and didn't require any new revenues. But, you know, if Franklin said, you know, we want a rapid transit product and it's got to be rail, well, here's the cost for that, here's the technical feasibility for it, and then let the community have their say.
When is the soonest we could see something like that? Like you're talking about a study and all of that. When could we see a decision on both? Maybe the decision is we'll start with one, go to the other, or you know what, we're going to go with this. What do you expect?
Yeah, well, we're starting to approach a moment in Middle Tennessee's history where there's almost universal public consensus that we need to do something about traffic. And so I think we're kind of teeing up talking about the revenues necessary that it would take to truly build out a robust regional system. It's no fun trying to plan for these things under the constrained revenue environment that we've been under, trying to do transportation here for the last few decades. But people are recognizing that there's a need and they want alternatives to get around congestion. Again, with economic growth and prosperity, you're not going to get rid of traffic. Think about cities like Los Angeles, Chicago, Miami. The traffic there is onerous. It's always going to be there. But they do have transit product to where there is a choice to get around that congestion if you locate your housing stock accordingly and you make that choice. You want to read the paper, you want to be productive on your way to work, you just want to take an alternative mode, or you want to live in a location that allows you to walk to work or walk to your local bars and restaurants and so forth. So I think we're moving in that direction. I don't know how soon. I mean, with transportation projects, it takes a long time to even plan and implement these sorts of things. There's sort of a 10 to 15-year life cycle from start to finish on engineering and environmental requirements and that sort of thing. But at least if we can get folks moving in a way that gets us regional consensus about what the projects are that we want to build, and then how we might like to go forward in funding them, we'll be making progress.
Those are big steps. But yeah, we're moving, no doubt, moving in that direction. Let's go to Philip. Hello, Philip.
Hey, I'm from Tidewater, Virginia, which has a whole lot more people than Nashville, Tennessee has in it, or Middle Tennessee. What they did was they created an interstate in the middle of the interstate. And in the mornings, vehicles get on the interstate heading towards Norfolk. Did I lose you?
No, I understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, managed lanes. Yeah.
You go one way. So basically it doubles. Say you got 5 lanes, which turns into 10 lanes. So hypothetically speaking here, from Nashville to Murfreesboro, if you had an interstate in between the interstate, and in the morning you had 5 lanes which went one way towards downtown, and you still have the same bound lanes that are there now for people that want to get off at Harding or whatever, throw in Smyrna, whatever. That's what you take in the evening. For everybody that comes here from Murfreesboro, and I don't mean to single out Murfreesboro, I have nothing against them, and I don't hate the people or anything, but if you come from Murfreesboro, you get on that, and you're going to Murfreesboro, you can't get off till you get to Murfreesboro. Everybody else who goes to Harding and yada, 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 they stay on the regular interstate and they get off, and it seems to work pretty fine. Is that feasible at all?
I've seen that in other parts of the country. He's talking about specifically Tidewater. What about what he's talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the tools in the toolbox for dealing with interstate congestion, adaptive lane management, managed lanes and that sort of thing. Even congestion pricing for travel on those interstates. It's sort of like, and a good analogy would be, if you're going to see Bruce Springsteen at the Bridgestone, there's only a certain amount of seats that facility will hold, and so you're willing to pay a premium to have one of those seats. Same sort of space thing with space on the interstate. Maybe you pay a premium to use that facility, and that's a way to continue improving infrastructure and make sure we're managing those resources efficiently and sustainably.
Is that a toll? Or are you talking about a toll?
Yeah, it's a toll, but that's, again, just one solution for managing travel on limited space and limited resources, especially as growth occurs over time. All of those things are on the table. They are able to do studies on, modeling people's travel. So figuring out where people live, where people work, where they're going, and we're actually starting to see some parts of our region where both sides of the interstate are filling up during peak times. So even the reverse commute is getting a little congested. So it's a good suggestion, but there had to be work done on doing some analysis on where people are actually going. Sounds like in Norfolk, they needed both sides to actually move people from one part of the region to the other to access jobs.
And there's no doubt, all right, you said this is going to be expensive. We're at a point where we're going to have to make a decision, and that's an option. We could build more. We could build, we could widen our roads, build up perhaps, whatever. We could build more. That is expensive. None of it is cheap. We will need federal money. Are we in a position to get the kind of federal money we're going to need to do this, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. There's a program that the Federal Transit Administration administers called the New Starts program. And during the Obama administration, they actually changed the requirements for density. Transit and density have kind of a chicken and egg relationship. Transit can bring density to an area, but then you also need density in order to have a healthy ridership to support a transit product adequately and make sure you're not just, wasting funds, running the line and that sort of thing. But New Starts under the current president was changed to not just benefit big dense cities like Boston and New York, but medium-sized, sort of Sunbelt cities like Nashville, where we could qualify for federal funding to build a rapid transit solution, between Nashville and Gallatin or what have you. They do like you to have some local skin in the game, and that's where we fall short. We're one of only a handful of major cities in our sort of peer group that don't have dedicated funding for transit. And it's sort of mind-blowing when you think about it, considering the growth that we're seeing, our economy here, the challenges that we have around moving workforce from homes to their jobs safely and so forth. So, that's something needs to be done, or we're never going to see these types of improvements.
And we're losing out to other cities right now.
Yeah, it makes us a less economically competitive and attractive place, but the conversation is happening, and so I think, there's recognition that, there's definitely some regional political and business consensus, especially at the local level, to do this. So.
All right, we're going to take a break. If you're on the line, hold on. If you want to call, there's the number, 615-737-PLUS, 615-737-7587. Take a break. Be back right after this.